Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of having Shayna Melissa Stockman. Welcome to Financial First Aid. Financial First Aid, we hire entrepreneurs, hire Financial First Aid to set up their business, navigate their entrepreneurial journey, and have them realize their full potential as entrepreneurs. We motivate, educate, and inspire the entrepreneur in you. So today, I have the world wellness expert. Now, how does that relate to entrepreneurship? It relates to entrepreneurship because if you're not the best version of yourself health-wise, then you cannot be the best version of yourself wealth-wise. So we have this person on that is just, she's a world wellness expert. That's what she is. She previously was an RN. She's the 2024 Healthcare Pro Women's Recognition Award winner, and she's a beacon of hope with over 30 years of board certified experience, a 30 plus year RN registered nurse, a nationally board certified nurse practitioner, and a dual license adult and child health NP. She heals all ages, which is amazing because, like, a lot of times people just stick to kind of one age group. But anyway, after suffering from her own autoimmune disorders, debilitating pain, fatigue, Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. IBS, MS, and heart failure. She helped heal herself holistically, and that sparked her doctors to become her number one clients. Her stories documented in overcoming life obstacles led her to become a number one international best-selling author in several categories, including medical books. She's committed to empowering high achieving women, particularly those suffering from autoimmune disorders, to overcome debilitating pain, restore energy, and decrease their reliance on medications. Shayna provides various in person and online services, including informational and motivational talks, inspirational book signing, engaging classes, comprehensive courses, exciting challenges, interactive workshops, and private confidential one-on-one consultation via video, phone, or in person. That is a mouthful, but welcome to Financial First Aid.
Thank you so much for having me. That was such a wonderful introduction. Thank you, thank you, thank you,
That
thank you.
well, it's a wonderful because it's all true, and you're just the world wellness expert. So I'm just impressed that you were able to heal yourself holistically,
Mhm.
and that deserves you winning that title, wellness expert. So please
Thank you.
tell us all
Thank
about you.
you. Well, where do I begin?
Okay.
So, well, I'll step back a little bit. My grandma raised me with the power of plants and naturopathy. My grandpa was a pharmacist. So
Okay.
I learned from observing, and I would watch grandma eat a banana for her potassium, magnesium instead of taking the prescriptions.
Hmm.
And then I would watch all of her siblings have diabetes. So I knew she had the gene. But I also watched that she ate healthy, stayed away from the processed sugars, never expressed that gene for diabetes. So
Hmm.
I learned these things in the 70s, and only now, decades later, are we talking about genetic expression and suppression. And then I further went on to go to nursing school, 5 college degrees later, 4 nursing and medical licenses. And a lot of the techniques I learned were not necessarily the ones in college. I took a lot of classes, courses, workshops, conventions, world-renowned doctors I learned from, research from around the world. So it wasn't just my college education that I put into my programs to
Hmm.
offer my clients everything.
Hmm.
So I find that a lot of my techniques are not taught in medical school because they practice medicine in medical school, and we know who that's sponsored by. So after, I suffered myself with all of those autoimmune issues, and I knew after being in the healthcare field for over 30 years, I did not want the results that those other people had. So I knew I had to do something different.
Right.
Over the 30-year in healthcare, I saw all the autoimmune patients, no matter which diagnosis they had, because there's over 100 of them, no matter which doctor they went to and which of the medications they were on, they were all their meds were meant to, a lot of their meds to suppress their immune system. So those
Mm.
people were given medication and sick more often because
Ah.
now they have a weaker immune system. So they
Mm-hmm.
were sick more often with more symptoms, more severe symptoms that lasted longer. And then they were getting side effects that required more medications. So I knew when I had my own autoimmune disorders that I was not going to do what they did because I would get the result that they did. So I knew
Exactly.
I had to think differently than most to get results that were different than most.
Okay, that's great. Um, and that was so good that you were able to blend that the things that you were observing with your grandmother with
Mm,
now, the medical knowledge behind it. And instead of
yes.
being stuck either in her space or their space, you were able to, merge them together to make the perfect space to make you the world wellness expert. That's fantastic. Um,
Thank you for acknowledging that because traditional doctors, most of them just think you need a test and a medicine, where a lot of the alternative practitioners usually don't want a test or a prescription. But I
mhm.
tend to do the best of all of it together and then come out with what is best for you. It
That's
might be a
perfect.
prescription, but probably not. I'm not opposed to them when we need them, but
Right.
I'd say probably 99% of the time, I don't need to prescribe them for people.
Right.
When I get to the root cause of their problem, it
Hmm.
stops the problem from getting worse. It usually reverses it. Now, when you reverse the problem, the symptoms go away. And when the
Hmm.
symptoms go away, you don't usually need to treat with medication for symptoms you don't have. And
Right.
then when you don't need the medication, you don't have side effects, interactions, overdoses, and deaths. To me, it's like, hello, why aren't more people doing this?
Because to you it seems so commonsensical. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
yes.
But now, what was your experience that triggered your immune problem?
Okay, well, we're all different, and I believe a lot of us might have a gene for an autoimmune issue. Like say
Okay.
grandma did with diabetes. She had the
Mhm.
gene, but she
Mhm.
also had the power to have that gene expressed by if she was eating a lot of sugar and gaining weight, or suppress that gene by eating right and keeping her weight down.
Right.
So I believe we have the power to express these genes
Mhm.
or suppress them.
Right.
There's different things. I don't want to get totally, I'd rather get more into the symptoms if that's okay, because I
Please.
think our
Mhm.
triggers are different. A lot of our triggers, I've seen a huge uproar in autoimmune problems since the protection and the infection. And I believe a lot of people had the gene, and it was that trigger. It's usually a trigger that makes it the gene be expressed. So, like the trigger for my grandma for her siblings having diabetes was eating the sugar and gaining the weight. So I believe we could have the gene, but it's a trigger that causes the expression to come out.
Okay.
So a
Okay.
lot of autoimmune problems, since people had the protection
Mhm.
or the infection, that virus, I'm seeing their autoimmune problems come out. So
Okay.
it's usually there's a trigger. It could be toxins building up, stress, lack of sleep, like so many different factors into it. The foods that you eat, a lot of different factors.
Right. So what was your kind of I guess the thing that made you decide, you know what, I want to start my own business and I want to
Mm,
use my expertise to help people
yes.
and do it that way as opposed to, going or trying to, be in a doctor's office or something like that. Like,
Mm.
why did you say, no, I'm going to do it this kind of way?
A lot of, I think, entrepreneurs don't want to build someone else's dreams. They want to build their dreams. And I get that. But for me, it wasn't about that. And it wasn't about the money because I was making great money in the sick care system, keeping them sick.
Uh-huh.
Because if I keep you sick, Vera, every single month you're coming back for a prescription,
That's
a
true.
refill, then you need a test. Then the
That's
test
right.
I don't give the results. You got to on the phone, you got to come back in. And this way, I keep you for life sick, coming back dependent upon me for the medications and the tests and the results.
Right.
That goes against my grain because I was seeing a lot of people. I knew I could get better. And I knew traditional medicine was not the answer. It was like masking tape on a garden hose that's leaking. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, good for now, but the underlying problem is getting worse. So for me, I didn't want the sick care system where I'm battling your insurance for tests and treatments that you need that I know they're not going to cover and
Mhm.
wasting all of my time doing that. And then they don't reimburse us. So who wants to work for that much? But when I work for the doctors, I found They are trained. They go to medical school to practice medicine. So that's all they know and that's all they think is best. And there's so much more to it. So I don't want to keep my patients sick. I can make a fortune keeping them in the sick care system, coming back for prescriptions and chemotherapies that we mark up another 10 grand a month and tell you need it every month. That's 120 grand a year and tell you need it for life. So I want people to know I'm not just trying to sell them something per se, because I could make a lot more money keeping them sick. So for
True,
me,
true.
I wanted to get out of the sick care system. I knew there's things I could do to get them better. There's
Hmm.
time constraints and billing constraints and insurance constraints. Now I have none of that. I could take the time I need with my patients. I can order what tests I want. I can tell them about things to eat and not eat and get into a total holistic approach,
That's
including
love it.
genetic medicine that they don't discuss when you
Mhm.
go to your doctor that takes your sick care insurance.
So, wow, what was the thing that made you say, I can do this better? Because I mean, I know you were observing all this,
Okay.
but what made you say, I mean, you are the expert, the world wellness expert. And
Thank you.
and I like the part that it's the world wellness expert, not the world medical expert.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And they
Like
I
you were totally going against the grain. And
oh
and so
I yes.
and
And
so
I
what
knew.
like
Okay.
that takes like courage. Like how did you say I'm going to do it this way? Because I think my way is the better way.
It, yes. Okay. It took a long time, and it took me looking
Okay.
back at hindsight. When I
Okay.
took my grandma raised me, God rest her soul. And when she was getting older, I said, "Hey, that's it. You're going to live with me. I'm going to rehabilitate you and get you better again." The
Okay.
doctors gave up hope she would ever walk again at 79. Now, this is early 1990s, where when you were 79, that was kind of an old age back then, and they were just so they gave up hope on her ever walking again.
What
And
happened? Did she have a stroke or something, or
well,
just from the
no,
diabetes?
no, she never developed diabetes. Her
Okay.
siblings did. She suppressed that gene by,
Right. By eating
yes,
right. And,
yes,
okay.
yes.
So
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 at
what happened
70,
that she couldn't walk?
I'm going to tell you.
I'm
So
sorry. I'm
at
getting ahead of you.
no, it's
I'm so
okay.
excited
So
about her walking
yes,
again.
I want to leave out trivial details that don't matter so much. But at 79, she stopped walking again. The doctors, I literally carried her back into the doctor's office then. They gave up hope she'd ever walk again. She looked at me and she's like, she asked me, do you, now she's looking up to me, right? I always looked up to her my whole life.
Right,
So
right.
she's like, do you ever think I'll walk again? Now, I'm getting ready to graduate nursing school, just about ready, like I don't have experience yet. I'm like, all right, I have to get to the cause because if I get to the cause, I could stop it from getting worse and I could
Okay.
probably reverse it, right? I don't know
Mhm.
how I thought about this back then as a brand new getting ready to graduate nurse. So I'm like, I have to get to the cause. Okay. What's the cause of her walking, not walking? Okay, can I reverse that? Yes, I can. So first, I knew for her, she had stopped walking partly because she was living alone, afraid she'd fall. So her muscles got weaker, atrophied. She got contracted and stiff, didn't want to go down the stairs anymore. So I had to get to the cause of why she stopped walking. Then
Okay.
I knew I could reverse that. Like we can get her stretching and strengthening, weight bearing again. So I gave her the belief. I said, yes, you're going to walk again. So even though the doctors did it, I was like, yes, you're going to do it. And I gave her that belief. And then not only she needed the belief, because if she listened to the doctor, she would have never taken the action steps. Then
Right.
we took action steps and consistent daily action steps to
Okay.
stretch, to strengthen. I knew I had to gain her um, get rid of her contractures, her stiffness. So we had to work on stretching. We had to work on strength. We had to get her upper body strength so she can push off to stand again. So I would put like a can in each hand and start doing arm curls and 1 pound weights in each leg. So then we would get her weight bearing and then walking further and further, and then no cane, no assistance, no walking independently. But it was me that just thought, what's the cause? Can I reverse it? How do I do that? Gave her the belief, took consistent action steps, and just never, ever, ever quit. So
And
so that's why when I had my autoimmune disorder, I'm like, what's the cause? Can I stop it? Can I reverse it? Yes, I can. I did this with grandma. I could do it with me. The doctors didn't believe it. And then look at me now. And then my doctors that I used to need are now my clients. So I think that's proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely. I think that's a great story. What a great story about your grandmother. So now that she's back walking and everything, and I know, she's deceased now, but what was her response like? And her response, did her response at that time, does that mirror the response of your now clients?
Hmm. I think I first give them the belief. So I kind of replicate what I did with grandma in certain ways. I
Perfect,
give them the
perfect.
belief, like, look, I've done this with other people. I've helped reverse their disorders. I've stopped their progression. I've reversed it with grandma, with me, with thousands of my other clients. So I have to give them the mindset first that they can believe it, because then they're not going to try, right? If you think you're going to
Right.
fail a test, you don't study, and then your thoughts led to your actions that led to your results and your outcomes. So it
Exactly.
starts
Yeah,
with mindset. No matter what you want to do, you have to believe you can do it,
that's right.
take
Yep.
consistent action, and just never ever quit.
That's great. That is great. I love that.
Mhm.
I really,
And I want
really.
to clarify one thing. There's a lot of there's people out there that are maybe they help their own disorder and they
Hmm.
think they're an expert. There's a difference. Somebody that just had diabetes and helped their own diabetes, maybe they can help some people, but maybe everybody can't get help that the way that helped them. I can honestly say I have 5 college degrees, 4 nursing licenses, have helped thousands of people. So it's not just my autoimmune disorder and what worked for me. I replicated this with lots of other people in other states, countries, and continents with their autoimmune disorders. So I know the success rate versus maybe
Exactly.
one mom that had diabetes and had a specific diet that worked for her.
I
It's
want
got
to
to be
know,
a replicatable system.
and you didn't tell me what was her
But I
reaction.
think
Come on.
you gear this towards entrepreneurs. So I want to tell them that they
I
have to put
know.
their own health first. They must,
Uh-huh.
must, must, must,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes, absolutely. Yes, that's true. And so when people, actually start getting better, what what is their reaction? So now, can you tell me, because you said you replicated this for thousands and thousands of people, which
Yes.
is fantastic. As the world wellness expert, what programs do you offer people, or
Yes.
how do you get them through this process so that they go from being ill to being well and staying well?
Nice. I have online and in-person events,
Hmm.
classes, courses, workshops. I also offer private consultations one-on-one like this, like a Zoom-like video setting.
Hmm.
Or if they're really old school, like say you want me to help your 90-year-old mom who doesn't do the video thing, even a phone call. And I have speaking engagements, like I talked for internationally for nurse practitioners and things like that. My biggest thing that I'd like to say is now they could take a quick course, class, workshop, challenge. Reclaim your life is something I'm very, very passionate about. When people come to me with autoimmune disorders, most of
Hmm.
the time they come to me after they've been to several doctors, had several tests, tried several meds, still don't feel well and aren't better. And they ask me, how much for a visit? I go, I can't just do all that in a visit. It's
Right.
impossible. It's overwhelming. So I created an entire Reclaim Your Life. There's a super workshop that can get their feet wet, a 1 day super workshop that gives them some of the gold nuggets. But I encompassed it into a 90-day program that takes out all of the overwhelm. We know when we go to the doctor, one visit might totally overwhelm you with information. I spread this out over 90 days for the busy working person
Hmm.
that you can do it at your own speed. So a lot of online classes, they just give you modules and you just never watch them, right? So I take them through my 90-day program. I do a private one-on-one consultation individually on Zoom like this, like a doctor's office. What are your signs, symptoms, meds? What test did you go for? What worked? What didn't work? Then throughout the 90 days, I created 300 PowerPoints from scratch from my 30 years as a licensed healthcare professional
Wow.
and my 5 college degrees, 300 PowerPoints from scratch, 30 pre-recorded lessons that you get to listen to when you want. You don't have to worry about missing class Wednesday at 2 p.m. Okay, you can't sleep at 2 in the morning, you pop in a module. You're like, Shayna talks quick, you put it on half speed. You want to pause it to take a note or do the call to action, you can. You're like, let me watch that again. You can listen hands free. Maybe you're cooking dinner, you put your earbuds in and you just listen. So I created 30 pre-recorded modules that sometimes they stream in on the slide, sometimes they stream in on me, or we have the slide next to me. So they mix it up. It's very fun. Um, it's not boring at all. It comes with a manual that they can print out as well as look at it online. And it comes with 4 workbooks, one for each section, that are digital and they can print out and write their notes right in there. Some of the gold nuggets are right there already printed in the books for them.
Wow,
So
this is
every
great.
week, and then get this, not only they have access to them 24/7, you don't have to worry about missing a class.
Mhm.
It's good because if you're a quick learner and you're like, man, I want to do this really quick. I want to go up to module 8 already. That's fine. If you're a slow learner, that's fine too. And then every week, I'm going to, for this next set only, every week, I'm going to get on live with them to recap the highlights of the lesson they should have watched
Mm,
and do a live Q&A every week so that their questions don't stack up and they don't get overwhelmed. And then I'm going to say, all right, you know what? Next week we're going to go over, these 2 videos. And this way it's going to take out all the overwhelm. But then at the end, near the end, you get a second private consultation with me because maybe there's personal questions you don't want to ask in the group setting. But a
mhm,
lot of the questions you have with autoimmune are the same ones Susie might have, Joe might have. So it's good to put the question in once. Plus, it keeps the price point down for everyone because I don't think anyone wants to buy like 50 hours of my time, right? So I'm very, very passionate about this. This program takes them through everything for autoimmune disorders, medical mysteries, problems since the protection or the infection. It takes them through mindset. You are worthy. You are deserving. This is possible. Here's some of my clients that did it. It takes you through, the signs and symptoms of autoimmune, the tests you should have, gut health. How do we repair the gut? What things you might be deficit in that you may need? What's in the environment are triggering your autoimmune problems? I don't want to stay away from 100 things. I want to let you know what your triggers are and to just, so if you like ice cream and milk is not a trigger, go have it. And then I go into food triggers, drinks that they're drinking that are triggering their problem, not just what not to do, but what's a better alternative. Instead of this, do this. Then I also get into, well, we know if there's foods that help us feel worse, there's other foods that can help us feel better. So what are good foods for us? What are foods that have the power of the plant in them, like natural anti-inflammatories, natural
mhm,
diuretics, water pills?
mhm,
And
mhm,
simple one-pot wonders, quick, easy, healthy recipes. We're not saying grow organic. We're saying, you know what? Cilantro is an anti-inflammatory. Use that instead of oregano, okay? Little things that you can do to move the needle forward. I go into the root causes of autoimmune and then how to attack each root cause. I go into biohacking. What is it? How do we activate genes so that our own body revs up production of our own good defenses and rids the toxins? So it's really A through Z, and people with autoimmune need a 90-day program. It cannot be done in one visit, So
That's
they could take
wow. That's great.
they could start with the Reclaim Your Life super workshop, and then move over to the 90-day program, or just go
Nice.
right to the 90-day.
Right, right. I love that though. It's called Reclaim Your Life.
Yes, yes. And your wellness journey, get healthy and happy with me. I call it a bunch of different things. It takes them through everything they need. If they're like, hey, busy, they could test the waters with the Reclaim Your Life Super Workshop and see if it's a good fit. The Super Workshop comes with a 15-minute quick discovery call with me, a little printable workbook. They can get the feel of it. Because, I do private consultations too, one-on-one, and that's not an issue, but autoimmune really needs the 90-day. If you have a simple problem, it could be done in a couple of visits.
So at the end of my podcast, which I'm getting ready to wrap up,
Yeah.
because I think we probably could go on for
Oh,
forever on
yeah.
it. But I always ask my guests, what's one thing that they could say to my audience to inspire, motivate, and educate my audience? So what can you offer us in those three realms?
Just one thing. Okay. Okay. To educate them, this is very, very important. Those entrepreneurs out there, working people, you must reprioritize your health. Number one, number one, number one, number one. We're always like, oh, if I have time at the end of the day, if I have money at the end of the week, at the end of the month. No, 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 no. I will tell you, I was running an ER, the only practitioner with skeleton crew, triple the amount of patients I should have. I was in full-blown heart failure. And I'm like running around this place. The job was making it worse. Put it this way, it might have been for that insurance carrier where the CEO is no longer here, okay? And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, they would be like, how many patients you see today? And I'm like, that was an eye opener for me. Ladies, gentlemen, I want you to know your signs and symptoms are like warning signs in your car. When your little oil light goes on,
Right.
if you don't address it, you need an entire engine, okay? You
Right.
can't get replacement parts for your body that quickly. Your symptoms are warning signs that something else is going on. If your doctor is blowing you off, saying you're working too much, your tests are normal, get another doctor, reach out to me because the typical patient I see gets blown off by their doctors for at least 3 years before they finally get the right test and the right diagnosis. At
Wow.
least 3 years. So these symptoms, it's the hard-boiled egg syndrome. I made this up. It means if you cook an egg so much that it's hard boiled, you can't easily reverse it. Please don't do that to your bodies, right? If you wait
Okay.
till your arteries are clogged, you need a roto-rooter. It's not easily reversed. So
Right.
it's important. Reprioritize your health, number one. There's always going to be
Educate.
another job. If you don't get better and feel better, your business is suffering. You're losing thousands. So don't worry about spending a few thousand to get better because you could lose that in a day with your business just by feeling bad. So
Right. Very
reprioritize your
good.
health.
Very
Listen
good.
to your symptoms. If you're having hair thinning, weight gain, inability to lose weight, weird rashes, wheezing, tired, achy, just not feeling well, those are symptoms that there's a much deeper underlying disorder, and it's usually autoimmune. So reach out to me, take the workshop or take the Reclaim Your Life 90-day program. So
Right.
that's educate and motivate and inspire. Okay. Motivational is
Right
not,
now, excuse me, motivate and inspire. I think you've done that. Like
oh, okay.
the story about your grandmother and the story about you as well. To me, that's motivation and inspiration. That's great stuff.
Thank you. And I gave that pep talk. A client's father broke his
Hmm.
back and he
Hmm.
asked me
Wow.
about walking again. So I had flashbacks of my grandma. So I had to tell him
Hmm.
about my grandma. I'm like, listen, we got to believe you could do this. You could do this. You're going to go to physical therapy. You're going to go to occupational therapy. The therapists are going to come. You're going to do this. And then he walked again. And I think my giving him that belief helped because obviously he had the doubt by asking that question. And he saw his roommate in the skilled facility who hadn't been walking for months and months and months. So in his head, he's thinking, oh, that's going to happen to me. But he walked again, even after a broken back.
See, that's to me, that's motivation and inspiration.
Mm.
Those kinds of stories. And you're the world wellness expert. You're making it happen. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Oh,
Before we
thank you.
go,
Oh, yeah.
let's tell the people how they can get in touch with you because
Oh,
we
yeah, 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 yeah.
they need to
Well,
get in touch with you.
if
And
they want
there'll be
some,
links as well when
yes,
we publish it.
thank you. Everything the easiest way, because I'm on all social medias as Shayna Melissa Stockman or the World Wellness Expert.
Mhm.
Everywhere. The easiest way is to go to worldwellnessexpert.com. I have
Mhm.
a lot of the links. Subscribe to my YouTube while you're there. While
Great.
you're there, sign up to get my newsletter that has exclusive invites, special savings. While you're
Mhm.
there, you can sign up to get a complimentary daily dose of positivity. It gives you a positive message every day for 30 days. It's totally free, complimentary. You can use them as screensavers. They're little calls to action to move the needle forward. You can, while you're at worldwellnessexpert.com, you can sign up to get the Reclaim Your Life Super Workshop, which is a 1-day deal. Or you can also sign up to get the 90-day program. And I would encourage that to do sooner rather than later because as the new year approaches price points are going up. Just saying, so you might want to lock in now at the 24 prices. So again, it's worldwellnessexpert.com. Get the newsletter, get the Reclaim Your Life Super Workshop. If you get the workshop, it comes with a discovery call with me so I can hop on a quick 15-minute call and steer them what's best for them. They could also get my book while they're there, Overcoming Life Obstacles That Reach #1 International. There's some gold nuggets in there as well.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for
coming on,
having me.
Shayna Stockman. It's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right,
you.
everybody. Hey, please, when you look at this video, everyone, when you look at this podcast, be sure you take notes and contact her so that you can be the best part of you. Thank you so much. Bye.